Hello, I'm Jeff Myers, and welcome to Elgin Today. On this edition, we open with this big crowd on July 23rd saying goodbye to Mary and Jeffrey Pierce. Mary closing the popular downtown shop Soulful Sparrow, and Jeffrey saying goodbye to the Elgin Bravo magazine. We talk with Jeffrey, and also we'll hear from one of the most active customers of the Soulful Sparrow and how she was drawn to Elgin. Elgin Today goes to Geneva as a caravan from Elgin arrives to remind everyone in Kane County and Elgin to be counted for Census 2020. We speak with Martha Martinez. It will be a drive-through to pick up food and book bags on August 15th for this year's back-to-school barbecue at Wing Park. Corey Dixon and Jeff Turner have the detail. We travel to the Elgin area men's shed located on St. Charles Street in Elgin and hear from member Steve Knight about the group's great community work. And the Mayor David Captain segment originates from outside City Hall as Mayor Captain talks about the COVID-19 virus and its effect on the city. We'll have these stories and more on this edition of Elgin Today. Jeffrey Pierce, tell me your thoughts. Bravo's a great campaign you've had. Tell me when it began, first of all.
Well, after living here for 17 years, I decided it was time this town got something that it needed, and that was an alternative publication that focused on the arts, entertainment, dining, and culture. So, having grown up in the Milwaukee area, where we had a vibrant alternative media that I thrived on, I decided this is something I can do. My occupation for 30 years has been in printing and publishing, and you know, I fancy myself a decent writer and graphic designer, so I set my mind to it and I said, let's just do this thing and see where it leads.
That was in July 2015, your first issue.
That's right. It was a limited edition designed for potential advertisers. So it was a very small print run, which I walked around personally and handed to businesses and said, this is what I'm going to do. Do you want to be involved in this? Yeah. In fact, I gave a free ad to any business who was willing to fill out a survey on the prospects for an alternative media that was promoting culture in Elgin.
That first issue was an Elgin collectible, I think.
I would say so. There's very few of them.
You know, the artistic talent that you attracted and nurtured was wonderful, wasn't it?
Yes. There's so much here to draw upon. Individual artists, organizations, the material is just endless. It doesn't, stuff you never knew existed was going on. People you never knew were producing great art living, you know, a mile away. I look for those people and bring them out, and in an effort to kind of show the rest of the community, we have smart, talented people doing great work here. You know, it's not what you thought, right?
Yeah, wonderful. And you allow those artists, after the first half year, by that 2016 year, the artists really are doing that front page, aren't they?
Yeah, I had people volunteering to help. I also would reach out to people who were trying to get recognized and ask them to contribute. And before long, we had artists creating visual art specifically for the cover of the magazine.
Wonderful.
Well, Soulful Sparrow was one of the iconic decision makers for me to move out here from downtown Chicago. I was looking specifically for a community like this, and when I came here looking for properties, I shopped here at Soulful Sparrow, and I knew this was the place that I had to live. Did a lot of shopping last week as well. But I did do a lot of shopping when I first moved here 2.5 years ago, so I do have some pieces in my home that I've decorated with Soulful Sparrow.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, you're going to miss the place, aren't you?
I am.
You kind of told us why you're looking for a nice city like Elgin. That's what brought you out?
I didn't know Elgin existed, to be honest with you. This city, downtown Elgin, is exactly what I had envisioned. A beautiful community full of heart, full of soul, and just the people that live here, the volunteering, everybody just has a heart here.
Wonderful. Elgin's proud to have you here, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you.
For our next segment, we talk with Steve Knight of the Elgin Area Men's Shed. You've got a new location here on St. Charles Street. Tell me about it.
Well, we moved in last September. It's at 1023 St. Charles Street. It was an area of about 750 square feet that was donated to us by Heinz Trucking.
It looks great. Now, you guys, tell me, your members, tell me all about guys involved the Elgin Area Men's Shed.
Oh, we've got somewhere around 30 members currently. All of them, not all of them are active, but about half of them are active. We come in and we do projects here in the shop. The last project we did was a couple of weeks ago. We finished it up last week. Was raised bed gardens for the Sherman Hospital Community Garden.
You guys are all over, because when we talked to you last year in the area, you were doing things in Hampshire, you were doing things in South Elgin, all over. Now, again, you're men 65 and older, and they're good with tools, and they can work in the workshop that we see right here. They got a great equipment.
Right.
That's your source, isn't it?
Right. Excuse me, I couldn't hear your last sentence.
That's your source.
Yeah. Our story is pretty much as you described it. However, we kind of expanded our membership. We've got a bunch of younger guys in. Some of them are 65, some of them are 60, some of them are 55. Some of them are still working, actually.
Yeah,
so they're not even retired yet.
I hope to be eligible someday.
And that's, don't we all?
What we wanted to say, this concept began in Australia in 1997, came to the States in 07, and then you said, I like this idea, that would help the community.
Oh, absolutely, we did. We thought it was a great idea. It was beneficial to men, especially retired gentlemen. It was one way to get guys up off their heinies and out in front of the TV and get them out working, get them a little exercise, so this doesn't come on anymore. And it worked out very well. We were the 14th shed in the United States.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And they are currently like 23 in the United States. So
if folks
we're still growing.
Folks want to join you, how would I do that?
They can contact myself, or they can visit us on our Facebook page, Elgin Area Men's Shed on Facebook. They can send us an email at elginareamensshed.org or .com, either one.
So this year we'll have the Elgin's third annual barbecue bash, and this is our third year, of course, of doing this event, and we're really excited. And with everything going on in the world, we had to modify the event a little bit. So this year we're going to have a socially distanced drive-through of an event. The event is still going to be at the Wing Park, as it always has been. This time we're going to utilize the parking lot. So here, what you can see is that we have a line of cars, and this will look similar to the event on the day of. We're going to have cars come in through one side of the parking lot, drive all the way through, be able to stop to get food, be able to stop and receive things from our vendors, and then drive out and be able to get the book bags and school supplies that they're here for. And that's going to be the event. And we're going to have entertainment here, and we're going to make sure that everything, of course, is socially distanced. And so we're really excited and looking forward to this.
It'll be 12 to 2 on that day. It'll be a little shorter day, 12 to 2, but everything will be the same. You just want to get folks here, and we will serve them. So that's wonderful. It's time for our August edition with Elgin Mayor David Captain. Mayor, we're outside. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Beautiful day in downtown Elgin.
we have several topics with you. Just glad to see you. We're scheduled for a guest, but we're going to have some conversation. COVID-19. We're going to look to you to see how we're doing here in Elgin. The first part of our segment, Mayor.
We've got a few things to cover, and we're going to catch up on some odds and ends today, and talk about a variety of subjects. And the first one is to talk about the pandemic and the COVID. And I think it's really important that I emphasize again to the community that this is not over, and we got a lot of work to do. So you still have to follow up with the mask, the social distancing, and the hand washing, and let's try to stay ahead of this. What I'm going to use today to help us put some emphasis on this, I'm wearing a mask for Latino, and as part of this is a little logo for the census. I also want to talk about that and make sure that people sign up and continue to do that. It's very important for us to do it. The Visiting Nurse Association did some testing in Elgin, and Linnea Wendell from Visiting Nurses was kind enough to share the information with me. They did about 1,000 tests through July 7th and offered some statistics, and some of them I found were pretty significant. And I think it's worth talking about so the community can understand where we are. And we're going to try to follow up on these in another month or two and see where we go. They tested 1,000 people. 662 were negative, and 296 were positive. That's a pretty high percentage.
It is.
Out of those, this kind of caught my attention as well. 70% of the people that tested positive were between the ages of 18 and 50. So it's not older people, it's not kids, it's middle-aged people that are carrying the virus. Out of those tested, 65% of the people tested were Latinx. 85% of those tested and tested positive were Latinx. There's a very strong indication that in the Latinx population in the city of Elgin that the COVID is running a little rampant. And they need to tighten things up a little bit. And I want people to be safe. We want people to be safe. We want our community to be safe. And it falls back on you as a homeowner and as an individual to make sure that we're following the procedures.
No question about that, Mayor, and we've been quite strong in Illinois compared to some of the hot spots, Florida, Texas, and things like that, but you still have to keep wearing those masks and don't have the large gatherings, everything you talk about.
Right, we still want to do that, and in my conversations with Sherman Hospital, they wanted to make sure that people are still getting done the tests that they need to get done. The blood tests, you need to be able to go to the dentist if you can do that. If you have routine screenings that you're supposed to do and doctor's visits, make sure that you're still doing those. Don't let the rest of your health care fall behind. And that's where we are as a community. We have a lot of work to do, and we're seeing what's happening around us. I think we're on a good track. I still get a little pushback from the businesses. I understand it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to try to survive through this. But you can see what happened in the communities or the cities and the states that opened up. They are having a real problem. And could force the whole country into a shutdown. And we'll see how that plays out. But Elgin's been doing really relatively good. So we need to continue to do that.
Even the restaurants, a lot of outdoor space.
Yes.
And that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And they're finding out a lot of things. They think that the transmission's more likely to occur inside than outside. Mm-hmm. And so that's important. As far as Elgin's businesses, we're losing a few. And I'll highlight the Soulful Sparrow, and along with that, the local newsletter, the Bravo. They're closing down. They're going back to Wisconsin, and it's a loss to the community.
It is, and that wasn't so much the pandemic. They might have just at that time of life when they're ready to retire.
It's always a combination of things.
And Bravo will hope to recover under the tutelage of folks being in charge.
And the Soulful Sparrow, that's how it is running a business. She had to face the decision of ordering the material she was going to have for Christmas, and she didn't know if she'd be around. And she didn't know if there was going to be another shutdown in this winter. So it throws a uncertainty into their business.
Oh, no
and
question.
they thought it was to their advantage and their best interest to close their business.
Soulful Sparrow, they were open for 8 years, as you know. We were there on July 23rd there when they had their final goodbye. I want to tell you, many folks came back for that, and they would say, I love Elgin. This is one of the reasons, but they came back and loved their city and just enjoyed all that downtown fare and had many, many stories about that.
Certainly a loss to the city. But at the same time, we have a couple that are opening up, new businesses. And I believe it's the Red Poppy down on Highland Avenue, just a block or so away from here, is going to open up a little breakfast and
they've had a quiet opening in recent weeks.
Yeah, they've had a soft opening. I think they're going to open up. And Be Elegant, I believe, is a restaurant. And they're going to be Cuban, Puerto Rican, Spanish food, a new kind of restaurant. I did have some the other day. It was very good, by the way.
You endorsed it?
I do. Yeah, once in a while I do.
Well, wonderful.
But, hey, you know me, food and I are partners.
They're a meeting place, aren't they?
And we have the meditation room is also a different kind of a business is opening in Elgin, and that shows the diversity of I think it really shows the diversity of our community and our economy. And that's what's helping us survive through this. I'll touch on something else really quick. We got an update from Deb Naraki and how we're doing as a city financially. and we expect a hit in sales tax. But she said overall, we're doing really pretty well. And I think it's talks about our diversity of our community and the diversity of the businesses that we have, and that keeps us as a strength for our economy.
Wonderful. Before we leave COVID, there was some testing, some 2 days of testings in late July, but you can get tested in the city, can you not?
Yeah, and I would, Mo Iqbal, the county board member, is a COVID representative for Kane County and lives in Elgin, lives in my neighborhood, and he encouraged the county to set up a testing site here. So I would hope that we can do that. It may not be a permanent one, but we would hope they might come in once or twice a month and set up. You can also get tested at the Greater Elgin Family Care Center. You can get tested at VNA. You'll have to call them and see what the requirements are. Many of them are testing clients first, and there's a pecking order. You know, you gotta, I haven't been tested.
Oh my heavens.
I haven't had symptoms, so my wife and I haven't had symptoms. I haven't had anybody that I was close to that came down with it, so we haven't done. I feel that other people might need it more than I do at this
That
point.
healthy Elgin living you have right there.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we covered all our COVID. Did we leave anything
I believe
out?
we have. Yeah.
We went down, you were there, of course, speaking to Geneva and the census caravan
Yes.
in July, and we're still very much involved in the census. Folks might forget that, aren't we?
Absolutely, and they can still fill the forms out. It's going to go through October, I believe. In the middle of August, they're going to start going door to door, and they're going to come back to people that have not responded. They'll come and try to visit you. There may be another caravan. I heard there were rumblings of that. They might want to do something on the west side.
Wonderful.
And drive through an at-risk neighborhoods on the west side. But we went through, we left the library parking lot and kind of meandered through the east side, just to give people an awareness of what's going on with the census and the fact of the urgency. And one of the things that it came up, I was interviewed by WBBM Radio, came up at a city council meeting that we were trying to get money from the county, and the county's basing it on a per capita basis, and we were having trouble figuring out how many people we had in Kane County. So it was very critical for us.
Wow.
But that's what the census does. And this could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars to our community, and just from this one program.
No question.
That's important. That's important. Plus, it doesn't even talk about the representation that we would have in Washington.
Sure.
That can change as well.
And I guess at that time for the caravan, we were like at 69.8%.
Yes.
And some folks are, I believe Geneva was like 83, but that sees how much more we still have to have everybody.
Right. We'd love to be over 75, between 75 and 80%.
And usually
before
that
this
means
is done.
$1,500 a person per year for $15,000 for the decade. We're talking
Right.
about these are the next 10
exactly.
years. That's
And that
the
comes
money.
in and pays for our streets.
Comes
It
your
pays
way.
for social programs. Does a lot of things. Assistance when the city needs aid. It depends on the demographic. They use those kind of numbers to make those decisions.
Solo guest, Mayor David Captain, with us here on this edition of the Mayor segment. Recently at a council meeting, a task force began. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. The city council has decided to go out for a request for qualifications for a facilitator to have a task force to talk about policing in the city. And our goal is to make we are, if not the finest police department in the entire state, one of the finest in the state, maybe in the country. But we can always be better. And that's our goal. We're going to try to find out how we can make that police department better. We want some citizen input. And my suggestion is that we couple the task force and the work that they do with Chief Lolly's. She's setting up advisory groups in every one of the police. I believe there are 7 districts in the police department. She wants to set up advisory groups for each one of those. And I would like to see a connection between those so that the people in the advisory group can offer information to the task force, and the task force will bring that information and their ideas back to the community, so that we have I want every voice to be heard that wants to be heard. We'll try to do the best that we can do to do that. I want to put a task force together that's representative of the community and brings people forward that bring some good ideas. I'd like to have people that have life experiences that go with it as well. And I think an opportunity to become involved and to become part of this. There are obviously when people are going to be dedicated to this program. It's important for the city. How we deal with it and the basis and how we set it up will indicate and be the precursor of the kind of information that we're going to get back.
All right, Tish Powell and Toby Shaw involved in that task force.
Councilmember Powell and Councilmember Shaw are going to be council liaisons to that. Chief Lally is asking for a council member to come to the advisory committees as well, and we'll try to do something along those lines as well.
All right, Mayor David Captain with us. We're almost out of time. Did we leave anything out? You're a busy man.
We're doing some great things here, and I just want people to stay healthy, and let's work our way through this COVID issue. And I like to look at us as being a little bit separate. We are dependent on other communities around us, but let's do the best job we can do in our community, in our city.
I like your spirit, of course, and continue to wear our masks. And certainly that's the case, and keep everybody as healthy.
And one last thing, I can't let this go.
Uh-oh.
Spring finally started.
Baseball?
Baseball opening day.
Yeah. What did you get one of those cardboard? Are you sitting at Wrigley Field with the?
No, I'm not.
They're only $49. You could have been watching every game.
And I can get a ball if they hit
That's
my
right.
chair. Yeah,
well,
my
that's
seat.
baseball action beginning. So, Mayor, we're always delighted with your conversation, of course, and Mayor David Captain outside. We are here at City Hall is what we have right now as we wrap things up. Mayor, always a delight to talk with you, sir.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll see you next month.
Enjoy that baseball.
We will.
All right. So
I hope I enjoy it.
Chicago Cub baseball he loves. With that, we'll stay for this segment with Mayor David Captain. We'll say so long, everybody.
Hola, soy Elisa Lara. En este segmento vamos a estar hablando de la importancia de que es el Censo 2020 y también vamos a estar hablando de las mochilas que van a estar regalando con el concejal DIXON. Gracias.
El día de hoy fue muy importante porque es importante que cubramos todo el condado de Kane County, desde Elgin al norte a Aurora al sur. Ha sido difícil para el censo comunicarse con todas las personas porque ahorita con la pandemia pues no podemos salir a tener contacto con personas y queremos elevar la participación en el censo. Es muy importante. Esperamos que se hagan contar. Por favor, vayan al censo.gov y háganse contar, cuéntense todos porque esto va a contar por los próximos 10 años. Háganse contar, seamos contados.
Solamente toma 3 a 5 minutos y puede ayudar a su comunidad con 1,500 por los siguientes 10 años.
Amiguitos, tengo buenas noticias. Tenemos el programa de las mochilas. Ahora va a ser agosto 15 que van a estar regalando las mochilas porque ya vamos a comenzar lo de la escuela. Y gracias al concejal Corey Dixon que va a estar patrocinando que tengamos el regalo de las mochilas. Van a hacer este evento este año, el agosto 15 de 12 a 2. Va a ser en el parque de Wing Park. Aseguren que se pongan sus mascarillas, no se van a bajar del carro. Pero ¿qué creen? Van a poder comer, les van a dar alimentos, es que les van a dar comida y van a tener músicas que mientras van pasando pueden mover el bote, van a tener el DJ listo con la música y toda la cosa. Les regalan las mochilas y es que todo va a ser rapidito, pero por lo menos pueden apreciar y gozar un poquito de la comida, de la música y una mochila. Es que recuerden, es agosto 15 de 12 a 2 en el Wing Park, no se lo pierdan. ¿Tienen algunas preguntas? Déjenos saber. En nuestro próximo segmento hablaremos con Yvette de Santiago, de Elgin Side Street Studios, que aquí está en el centro de Elgin.
Hola, soy Yvette aquí con Side Street Studio Arts y les voy a contar un poco de lo que hicimos este verano. Estuvimos distribuyendo kits de arte gratuitamente a familias alrededor de Elgin. Esos kits todavía están disponibles por nuestro sitio web. Si quieres ordenar uno, puedes ir a nuestro sitio web para ordenar un kit. Por Facebook cada martes y cada jueves tenemos una clase también a las 10 de la mañana. Los eventos que vamos a tener en agosto, vamos a seguir el evento de Live Paint the Moment, que es aquí afuera durante The Farmers Market. Y tenemos un artista de latino o latina o de la comunidad LGBTQ y ellos vienen a pintar mientras The Farmers Market está abierta. El 7 de agosto vamos a tener la recepción de Lockdown Renaissance y One True Line y el 14 de agosto vamos a tener un evento de dibujar en el parque. Pueden traer sus propios materiales o pueden donar $5 a Side Street. Podemos dar materiales con bolígrafos, lápices y papel. La comunidad de arte aquí en Elgin tiene una presencia fuerte, pero también necesita un apoyo. Side Street Studio Arts está ayudando para facilitar a que los artistas encuentren una manera de exponer su arte en público. Para celebrar el mes de herencia latina y hispana, Side Street está lanzando un concurso de diseño de camisetas abierta que se llama Fuerza Latinx. El ganador del concurso va a ganar $100 en efectivo y más. También el diseño ganador se va a vender en nuestra tienda Made, y el último día para meter sus aplicaciones del diseño va a ser el 29 de agosto y el ganador será anunciado el 1 de septiembre.
Tenemos con nosotros Cristina. Platícanos, Cristina, ¿qué estás haciendo aquí?
Ay, hola, estoy feliz para estar afuera. Tengo máscara, pero todavía estoy afuera. Aquí tenemos el mercado que pasa todos los viernes hasta
Cada viernes tenemos el mercado acá afuera. En sí tienen que ponerse sus mascaritas, asegurar que vengan con máscara. Tienen ciertas cosas que tienen que asegurar que no pueden comer ahí como antes hacíamos,
sí,
¿verdad?
Aquí tenemos todo y cuando llegan lo pueden ver para que yo no te tengo que decir.
Ajá, tienen la información. Antes estaban ubicados en otro lado en la Grove y ahora estamos en Spring Street para que tomen nota en eso.
Sí.
Y platícanos un poquito qué diferentes comerciantes y vendedores tienen aquí.
Cambiamos mucho este año porque tenemos unas reglas que tenemos que hacer, pero este año pueden encontrar más comida. Tengo pan, tengo carne, tengo huevos, tengo todo que necesita, que si usted no quiere ir al mercado, venga aquí, porque estamos afuera en el aire, puede estar con la familia y puede ayudar el sol.
Así salimos un poquito de lo que estábamos ahorita enjaulados, que era un poco difícil, bueno, todavía sigue. También tienen hasta aceites balsámicos que podemos cocinar, tratar de ser un poquito más saludable. Vi que también tienen miel hecho en casa o en los granjeros.
Tengo salsa, tengo churros.
Sí, churros tan saludables, pero ricos.
A mí me encantan los churros. Sí. Tengo agua fresca, si necesitan algo para tomar, tenemos agua. Y aquí puedes ver todas las personas que vienen, las familias. Necesita algo para comprar y no quieres coger el carro y parquear y todo eso. Es una
variedad para salir y ver y buscar y aprender un poquito más, porque cada puesto tiene diferente información de cómo ser un poco más saludable. Y creo que es algo que tenemos que tener en cuenta, especialmente como ahorita hemos tenido cosas que nos han agotado mucho, mentalmente, físicamente. Tenemos que buscar por nuestra salud, nuestro bien. Claro, los churros no nos van a ayudar tanto, pero están deliciosos.
Vegan.
Sí, también, y son saludables.
Si usted camina a coger los churros, camina al carro, ya no comiste nada.
Sí,
eso es que digo.
Idealmente, y tienen diferentes comidas de todo tipo. Se aseguren que vengan cada viernes. ¿De qué horario a qué horario?
3 a 7.
De 3 a 7. Todos los viernes vengan, llueva, truene, relampaguee.
Sí, nosotros siempre estamos aquí. Traiga a los niños, los abuelos, el esposo, la esposa. Vengan todos, aquí estamos, todos los viernes.
Una preguntita. Si al caso una persona tiene cosas para vender, es un vendedor de comida o X cosa, ¿se puede todavía participar en uno de los?
Sí, todavía tengo.
Porque son todos los viernes, ¿eh?
Sí, tengo 15 más viernes para hacer esto. Tengo espacio todavía para vendedores que hacen comida. Jabón ya tenemos, pero si haces comida que quieres vender, me contactas a mí y yo te digo todo cómo hacerlo.
El proceso. Es un poquito largo, pero todo.
Un poquito largo, sí.
Sí, va a haber más.
En un poquito tiempo. Ahorita en este tiempo solo estamos dejando entrar la comida y los que hacen para la salud y todo eso.
Enfocado en la salud, para promover un poquito.
Ahorita creo que como agosto podemos traer que hacen los vendedores que hacen carteras, aretes y cosas así.
Más artesanía.
Sí. Ahorita en este momento todo es comida.
Sí. Pues aquí los esperamos. Aseguren que vengan los viernes aquí para que sí ayuden y apoyen a las personas y aparte en sí salgan así un poquito.
Sí.
Porque aquí con su mascarita y protegerse con las manos también.
Y si usted viene sin máscara, yo te doy una. Yo tengo.
Oh, ya tenemos. Eso no tiene problema. Aquí los esperamos.
Elgin 311. Call, click, connect. By calling 311, the city's information and request resource.